Ecuador has the honor of delivering this statement on behalf of the like-minded developing countries. The impacts of global COVID-19 on all our economies and societies have been unprecedented, including on multilateral climate change negotiations, making the need for global cooperation even more urgent. We appreciate the innovation shown in the holding of climate dialogues as a virtual response to the constraints imposed by the pandemic, but informal and virtual meetings cannot and should not replace in-person formal negotiations under the subsidiary bodies and the COP. Therefore, these dialogues cannot replace such official negotiation sessions, nor they can result in new mandates, specific outcomes, or requests for technical papers inter alia. Nevertheless, there are some important reflections from this event that we would like to highlight. On the pre-2020 roundtable, the presentations and the discussion underscore the need for parties to live up to their long-standing commitments on mitigation, adaptation, and the means of implementation in the pre-2020 period under the Convention and its Kyoto Protocol. In mitigation, for example, what developed countries have achieved so far show that they are lagging rather than leading by at least 10 to 15 to 25 years. To fully reflect equity and CBDR and compensate for their historical overuse of the global carbon budget, developed countries should have already achieved real zero emissions this year, rather than currently being slightly above their 1990 aggregate level of GHG emissions, or simply targeting net zero emissions by 2050 in their NDCs. The virtual format of the SED under the second periodic review allow parties to listen to some IPCC experts and UNFCCC constituted bodies concerning the state of scientific knowledge relating to climate change trends and impacts. However, the conduct of such dialogue should have been more inclusive and comprehensive. The events related to long-term climate finance show that while some developed countries are claiming progress towards meeting their 100 billion climate finance commitment by 2020, such progress remains insufficient, non-transparent, and questionable with respect to their measurement, reporting, and verification, and regarding its capacity to match the climate finance needs of developing countries. We're also concerned about new concepts of terminology being used in these events, with a clear intention to shift the attention from the unfulfilled obligations and commitments. In short, developed countries need to be more ambitious in filling the gaps in the implementation of their commitments concerning mitigation, adaptation, support, finance, and technology transfer in the pre-2020 period, included in relation to the use of public finance, non-grant instruments, and the avoidance of additional debt burdens for developing countries. We have also highlighted the importance of ensuring access by developing countries to their technology, capacity building, addressing the impact of response measures on our economies, and making the loss and damage mechanism fully operational with a broader scope and including information on action and support in that regard. The discussions relating to transparency continue to highlight the importance of the need and flexibility as a reflection of CBDR and to facilitate its operation by developing countries. We remain deeply conscious of the need to ensure that the operational modalities for Article 6 of the Paris Agreement are designed and implemented in a way that reflects the concerns and needs of developing countries, including with regard to the use of market and non-market approaches as part of climate action. In closing, from the governments and peoples of the member countries of the LMDC, spanning 14 time zones from Asia, Middle East, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, with over 3.5 billion people, we wish all of our friends and partners in this dialogue good health and success in combating the pandemic, and a renewed and strengthened commitment to multilateral cooperation on climate change. We look forward to meeting and negotiating with each other again in person, including in COP26 in Glasgow next year. Thank you very much.